Let me start by saying this up front. What you're about to hear is not what most men are talking about when it comes to hooking up. In fact, it's a secret so well hidden that most guys don't even realize it exists. It's the difference between casual encounters that leave you feeling free and those that leave you emotionally tangled, confused, and, frankly, hooked. Like you're suddenly in a relationship you never signed up for. Hooking up without getting hooked might sound like a simple idea. Just have fun, don't catch feelings, right? But if it were that easy, you wouldn't be here reading this. Because here's the truth. Almost every man who's ever tried to keep things casual ends up screwed over by one thing: their own mind. Let's be honest. Society never really teaches men how to navigate casual intimacy without emotional consequences. The whole "don't catch feelings" advice is tossed around like it's some magic spell. But emotions aren't a switch you can flip off. They're biological, psychological, and sometimes messy. So what really separates the guys who can enjoy hookups without losing control from the guys who find themselves desperate, obsessed, or emotionally stuck? The real secret is not just about controlling your feelings. It's about understanding how your mind works and how your own expectations and insecurities play a massive role in whether you get hooked or stay free. Most men think hooking up is just about the physical, but the emotional side is a battlefield, and if you don't know the rules, you're going to lose. Here's a controversial truth that's hard to swallow but absolutely necessary to hear. The biggest reason men get hooked is not because of the women. It's because they choose to get hooked. Sounds harsh? Maybe. But it's true. You have more control over your emotional state than you think. You decide how much power you give someone over your feelings. The problem is that many men give away their power unconsciously, through poor mindset, unclear boundaries, or a desperate need for validation. And that's what this video is about. I'm here to teach you the real secret that most men don't talk about: how to enjoy casual connections and hookups without losing yourself in the process. How to keep your freedom, your dignity, and your emotional independence intact. We'll break down exactly what getting hooked really means, because most men don't even understand the subtle ways emotional attachment creeps in. Then we'll uncover the mental traps that cause men to fall into these emotional snares, even when they thought they were just having fun. Next, I'll show you how to communicate clearly, not in a boring or robotic way, but in a way that's honest and attractive, so you set your boundaries without killing the vibe. You'll learn why your mindset and self-respect are your biggest weapons in this game, and how keeping your standards high protects you from getting tangled emotionally. Finally, I'll give you practical, no BS strategies and habits that will keep you in control. The kind of stuff that most men never learn, but that separates the players from the guys who end up heartbroken. Here's the kicker. This isn't about being emotionally cold or pretending you don't care. It's about being smart with your emotions, not letting them run you, but using them in a way that empowers you instead of enslaving you. If you think hooking up without getting hooked is just luck or some mysterious talent, think again. It's a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered. But you have to be willing to face some uncomfortable truths, question your own habits, and take control of your emotional life. So buckle up, because after this video, you'll never look at casual relationships the same way again, and you'll have the tools to enjoy them on your terms, not theirs. This is the real secret men don't talk about, but now you will know it. Why no feelings is a lie. Most men tell themselves, "I'm just hooking up. No feelings involved." But here's the harsh reality. That's rarely true. The idea that you can jump into intimacy with someone and completely shut off your emotions is a myth. It's one of the biggest lies men tell themselves to protect their ego. Feelings aren't a simple switch you turn on or off. They don't follow rules or listen to your logic. When you get physically close to someone, your brain releases chemicals like oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin, hormones that bond you emotionally. These chemicals create a connection whether you want them to or not. So, even if you walk into a casual situation telling yourself, "I won't get attached," your body might already be working against you. You might find yourself thinking about the person more than you planned, feeling a little jealous if they talk to someone else, or hoping for another meeting. That's your feelings creeping in. This is why so many men end up confused after a hookup. They expected to have a good time and leave it at that. But instead, they find their mind racing, replaying moments, wondering if this could be something more. And suddenly, they're hooked, emotionally invested in someone who was just supposed to be a casual connection. Let me give you a real situation. Imagine you meet someone at a party. You're both clear it's just for fun, no strings attached. You enjoy the night, laugh, share drinks, and then end up hooking up. Next day, you wake up and check your phone, hoping to see a message. You find yourself scrolling through their social media, trying to learn more about them. You catch yourself wondering if they like you more than a friend. That's feelings. Sneaky, unexpected, and powerful. But here's the thing. Knowing this doesn't mean you have to avoid hooking up altogether. It means you need to be honest with yourself about what's really happening inside your head and body. Denying that feelings are part of the equation sets you up to be blindsided. The real question isn't, can I hook up without feelings? It's, how do I manage my feelings so they don't control me? Because feelings themselves aren't the enemy. They're natural and human. The problem is, when you let feelings lead you into bad decisions, like chasing someone who doesn't want the same thing, losing your self-respect, or getting stuck hoping for more while they're already moving on. Here's what most men don't get. Emotional detachment isn't about not feeling. It's about recognizing your feelings early and choosing how to respond instead of reacting blindly. It's like having a fire alarm. The feelings are the alarm going off, telling you to pay attention, not that you should run into the fire. When you understand this, you can enjoy hooking up without getting lost in it. You don't have to pretend you're a robot without feelings. You just need to be aware of the signals your body and mind send, then make smart decisions. For example, after that night with someone, instead of obsessing over messages or social media, you decide to focus on your own life. You keep busy with your goals, friends, and hobbies. You remind yourself why this was meant to be casual. And when feelings come up, you acknowledge them, but don't feed them with constant contact or unrealistic expectations. This awareness is a game changer. It separates men who enjoy their freedom from those who end up emotionally stuck. So, if you've been telling yourself, I'm fine, no feelings here, it's time to rethink that. The truth is, feelings are part of the hookup game. The secret is learning how to play without losing. The real reason men get hooked. Most men believe they get hooked because of the woman, her beauty, charm, or the way she makes them feel. That's the popular story, and it's easy to blame her. But the truth cuts deeper, and it's way more uncomfortable to admit. The real reason men get hooked isn't her. It's you. Yes, you. It's not about her power or magic. It's about what's going on inside your own head and heart when you connect. What makes you get hooked is how you respond to the connection, your own mindset, your needs, and your fears. Here's the core of the problem. Men get hooked because they're chasing something they don't have inside themselves. Approval, validation, love, or even just feeling worthy. When you don't feel whole or confident on your own, you look for those feelings through other people, especially in casual relationships. When you hook up, it's not just about sex. It's about what sex represents: acceptance, closeness, or even a proof that you're desirable. If you don't have those things firmly rooted inside, you become vulnerable to getting emotionally attached, because you're trying to fill a gap inside yourself through someone else. That's why men who have strong self-esteem and a clear sense of self rarely get hooked the way others do. Their emotional tank is already full. They enjoy casual connections without confusion because they're not looking for anyone else to complete them. Think of it this way. If you go to a restaurant hungry, you'll likely eat everything on the plate and want more. But if you've just eaten a full meal, you might just pick at the food or not feel the need to overeat. Your emotional hunger works the same way. Here's a story to make it clear. A guy meets a woman and they hook up. The next day, Instead of feeling free, he spends hours texting her, overthinking every word, and wondering if she's interested in him beyond the hookup. Why? Because inside, he feels insecure and desperate for reassurance. He's hoping that she will prove he's valuable or wanted. This is the trap. The moment you let your worth depend on someone else's attention or approval, you give them control over your emotions. You lose your freedom. On the other hand, if a man feels good about himself, respects his own value, and isn't desperate for validation, he can enjoy the same hookup without overthinking or needing more. He understands the difference between physical connection and emotional dependency. This is why mindset is everything. The problem isn't the woman or the hookup, it's the emotional need you bring with you. And here's the kicker. Most men don't realize they have this need until it's too late. They get caught in the cycle of chasing, hoping, and eventually feeling hurt. But awareness is the first step out. Once you see that you are the one creating the risk of getting hooked, you can take real control. You start working on building your self-worth, setting boundaries, and learning to enjoy casual connections without confusing them with emotional commitments. This shift changes everything. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about caring for yourself first so that no one else can take your power. So, before you blame the hookup or the woman for getting stuck emotionally, look inside. Ask yourself, what am I really looking for? What do I need from this connection that I'm not giving myself? When you can answer those questions honestly, you're no longer a victim of your feelings. You're the one steering the ship.
Playing mind games, you're losing. Let's get real. When it comes to hooking up without getting hooked, most men are their own worst enemy. Why? Because they get tangled in their own mind games. These aren't the clever tactics you see in movies or hear about from pickup artists. No, these are the little battles you fight inside your head every time you try to keep things casual. You tell yourself things like, if I don't text her first, she'll lose interest. Or, I can't seem too eager, or I'll scare her off. Suddenly, you're analyzing every word, every pause, every emoji. Your brain becomes a battlefield of overthinking and second-guessing. Sound familiar? That's because it's something almost every guy experiences. But here's the problem. When you start playing these mind games with yourself, you're already losing control over your emotions. Instead of enjoying the moment, you become a prisoner to your own insecurities. Why do we do this? Because deep down, many men fear rejection, loneliness, or not being enough. These fears drive you to test the waters, seek reassurance, or try to control the situation, all while pretending you're just having fun. But pretending doesn't work. Your mind picks up every subtle signal. You become hyper-aware of her actions or lack of them. Did she reply too slowly? Is she ignoring me? Did she just post a story with another guy? These questions aren't random. They come from a place of anxiety and need. The truth is, when you're caught up in these games, you're no longer free. You're stuck reacting to what she does, instead of focusing on what you want and need. You lose the clarity that helps you stay detached. Here's the catch. Mind games never make things better. They create confusion, self-doubt, and sometimes push the other person away because you're sending mixed signals. One moment you act distant, the next you chase. This inconsistency kills attraction and increases your emotional risk. Another thing men don't realize is that these mind games often mask a bigger problem, a lack of self-trust. When you doubt yourself, you look outside for validation, trying to read her every move to feel secure. This is a fast track to getting hooked. You can't control how she feels or what she does. Trying to manipulate or predict her actions only drains your energy and focus. It's a distraction from what matters most, your own mindset and boundaries. And if you want to stay in control, you need to stop playing these mental games. Stop testing her interest by pulling away. Stop obsessing over every message or reaction. Instead, focus on your own feelings first. Are you truly okay with casual? Or are you secretly hoping for more? Be honest with yourself. Because if you're hoping for more, your mind will create endless games to protect you from pain or rejection. That's normal, but it's also the path to getting hooked. Breaking free starts with simple awareness. Notice when your mind drifts into guessing, worrying, or planning strategies to win. Recognize that these thoughts are just noise, not facts. Then refocus on what you can control, your own actions and attitude. Stay present in the moment. Enjoy the connection for what it is, not what you wish it could be. This doesn't mean you ignore feelings or pretend to be indifferent. It means you build the habit of not letting your thoughts run wild with stories and what-ifs. You practice trusting yourself and your choices. Mind games may feel like a way to protect yourself, but they actually do the opposite. They put you on emotional roller coasters, make you vulnerable, and push you closer to the very thing you want to avoid, getting hooked. The best way to win this game is to stop playing by those confusing rules altogether. Setting boundaries is not weakness. Let's be honest, too many men think setting boundaries is a sign of weakness. They believe that if they say no, or make clear what they want and don't want, they'll come off as boring, needy, or unmanly. This couldn't be further from the truth. Here's the reality. Not setting boundaries is what makes most men vulnerable to getting hooked. When you let things slide because you're afraid to rock the boat or lose her interest, you're giving away your power. And no, that's not attractive or strong. It's the exact opposite. Many guys fall into the trap of thinking that being easygoing or chill means agreeing to everything, accepting confusion, and hoping things just work out. Spoiler alert, they don't. If you're not clear about what you want, you're basically handing the steering wheel to the other person. This is where you need a serious wake-up call. If you want to hook up without getting hooked, you have to start acting like the man in control of his emotions and his life. That means setting boundaries, clear, honest, and firm. Boundaries aren't walls. They're guidelines that protect your emotional health and keep your relationship simple and respectful. The truth is, boundaries show strength. They show you respect yourself enough to say what you will and won't tolerate. They show you're not desperate for approval or validation. And that kind of confidence, it's magnetic. Too many men confuse boundaries with being rigid or unkind. But healthy boundaries can be flexible while still clear. It's about communicating your limits without guilt or apology. If you don't want late-night calls or constant texting, say so. If you want to keep things casual and not mix feelings, be upfront. When you do this, you actually reduce drama and confusion for both sides. It keeps expectations honest, which saves you from the emotional traps that lead to getting hooked. If you're thinking, but what if she leaves because I set boundaries? Here's the truth. Good. If she can't respect your limits, she wasn't the right person to keep around casually anyway. This isn't about being harsh or cold. It's about being wise and self-respecting. And if you don't do this, you're setting yourself up to get hurt over and over again. So, to the men reading this, stop pretending boundaries are a weakness. Stop blaming women or circumstances when you find yourself hooked. Look in the mirror and ask if you've been clear enough with yourself and others. It's time to wake up and take responsibility. Real freedom comes from owning your feelings, your choices, and your boundaries. Start practicing honesty with yourself. Define what you want from casual relationships. Communicate that clearly. And don't back down when your limits are tested. Because the moment you start setting boundaries like a man who respects himself, you take back control. You stop being a passenger in your emotional life and start driving. And that's the real secret to hooking up without getting hooked. Self-control beats attraction. Every time. When it comes to hooking up without getting hooked, most men focus all their energy on attraction. They think if they just look better, say the right things, or have the perfect moves, they can control the situation. But here's a truth that many guys miss. Attraction gets you in the door, but self-control keeps you free. Attraction is powerful. It can feel like a wild force pulling you towards someone, making your brain flood with excitement and desire. But without self-control, attraction can become a trap. It blinds you to reality, makes you ignore warning signs, and pushes you to act impulsively. Self-control is the muscle that helps you manage those intense feelings. It's what stops you from texting too much, chasing when you should walk away, or crossing your own boundaries just to keep someone interested. Here's why self-control is your best defense. It gives you the power to choose how you react. Instead of being swept away by emotions, you decide what's best for you. You stay grounded, focused on your goals, and keep your dignity intact. Many men confuse self-control with being cold or unfeeling. That's a mistake. Self-control isn't about shutting down emotions. It's about recognizing your feelings and making smart decisions despite them. When you build self-control, you stop being a victim of attraction's highs and lows, you enjoy the good moments without getting lost in them, and you avoid the pain when things don't go your way. This doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice. Saying no when you want to say yes, walking away when you want to stay, and reminding yourself why you're doing this in the first place. But the payoff is worth it. Men with self-control don't just avoid getting hooked, they become more confident, attractive, and respected. They set the terms, enjoy their freedom, and keep their emotions in check. So if you want to master the art of hooking up without losing yourself, stop relying on attraction alone. Focus on strengthening your self-control. Because in this game, self-control beats attraction every time. Before we wrap this up, here's a controversial truth that most men won't admit out loud, but it's the reality you need to face if you want to keep your freedom in casual relationships. If you're getting hooked, it's because you want to be. That's right. It's not just bad luck or her fault. It's your own choices, mindset, and emotional habits that put you in that position. You can blame the situation or the other person all you want, but at the end of the day, only you control how much power you give someone over your feelings. And here's why this is so controversial. Society tells men to be tough, to suppress feelings, or to just man up without understanding the real emotional dynamics at play. So when you get hooked, you often feel ashamed or confused, like you failed somehow. But that shame keeps you stuck and silent. I want you to break that silence, to stop blaming and start owning your emotions. Because once you do, you take back your power. You stop being a victim and start being the leader of your own emotional life. If this video resonated with you, if you've ever felt caught in the cycle of hooking up and then getting hooked, I want to hear your story. Drop a comment below and share your experience. What have you learned? Where did you struggle? What worked and what didn't? I'm not just here to give advice and walk away. I want to create a real connection with you. I'll read your comments and reach out where I can to help you break free from the emotional traps most men never even talk about. Because this isn't just about hooking up. It's about your life, your freedom, and your happiness. And that means learning hard truths, practicing self-awareness, and building emotional strength every day. So here's your challenge. Stop pretending you're immune to feelings, or that getting hooked is something that just happens. Own your part in the game, learn the real secret men don't talk about, and commit to staying in control, on your terms. Your freedom starts now.